This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 8th year of talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, this is Alex, and this is the Ramble. We go until midnight from New York, New York. It's time now to do Bubs. That should be the name of the segment, actually. Hello, Bubs.
Hey, buddy.
How you doing?
Good. We had our first snow in 40 years here.
Yeah, he's in San Francisco. You mean actual snow in San Francisco?
Yes, on around Twin Peaks and those places.
Oh, okay, but not down where you live.
No, that would be rare.
Well, you know, I remember once as a kid, it was snowing at the beach.
Wow, that must have been cool.
Yeah, that was cool. And of course, in California, kids never see snow unless they go up to the Sierra. All right, and I was one of those kids. You know, although my parents did go to Reno, my father used to work up there and so on. And sometimes we'd go up during the winter, and I saw snow, but that was like, wow, snow. You know, you never see snow in San Francisco.
No.
Yeah. And the weather's been, I guess, cold, huh?
Cold and wet, yes. Delightful climate.
Hey, but there's no global warming. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous to even create that assumption.
Maybe it's global cooling. I don't know.
Well, that's what people say. Well, it's been cold. It's not global warming. No, but you don't understand that the term global warming applies to a bunch of problems that you can have, you know, and so on. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to get cooler, but I mean the fact that you get these. California has been a natural fire zone. I mean, it's just been a zone for everything. It's been you got the fires, yes. Right? Uh-huh. You've had floods, if I'm not mistaken.
Fires, it's like a biblical.
The only thing that hasn't hit you yet are locusts. You know?
I think Adam Carolla said the only thing in California that's not on fire is the homeless.
But it must be terrible for the homeless if it's that cold, you know? I mean...
yeah, I don't know how do they not die during this stuff? You know?
Yeah, well, it's because I guess they have antibodies from being homeless. I don't know. I have no idea. You know, but it's terrible what's happening out there. I mean, everything, the fires, the floods, the what do you call it? The
drought. We have drought and floods in the same year.
Drought, floods, landslides, and the landslides are because the fires burnt the trees, and the trees were holding back the ground, so that you know when you don't have trees and then it rains, you're going to get mudslides. That's all. You know, that's what trees do. You know, so I mean, a certain amount of trees every year have to burn as an act of nature. And many times the Forest Service has to figure out whether to put out a fire depending on whether it's a natural fire or a man-made fire. Because natural fires are good for the forest. How, Alex? Because what they do is they heat up the trees and they pop their seeds. And the seeds go everywhere, and then you get more trees. And you get that because of the fire. Have you heard that one?
I have not heard that, no.
Oh, okay, then maybe it's not true.
Oh, it could well be. I'm ignorant, so what do I know?
What do you mean you're ignorant? You have more facts stuffed in that amazing cranium of yours. What's going to be interesting, you know, I have gotten to the point in my life where I forget stuff, you know, like, dates, forget that. I never was good at dates. But I forget the names of certain people. Like, now it's always when we're watching television. Wasn't he the person that was in that thing? We can't remember.
Yeah, I'm really bad on names.
Names. I just am terrible with these days. So what I'm wondering is, you've got this brain that takes in certain kinds of knowledge, right? You're like this what do you call it? Snowball rolling down a hill, and you can constantly get this new stuff that makes
meaningless knowledge, but
it makes the snowball bigger and bigger and bigger until you've got this breadth of knowledge that's incredible. Now I'm wondering.
Maybe our brains are like maybe they're like discs, and we have to defragment or whatever they call it.
Well, I think that what happens is, I don't know if somebody said the reason why when you get older you can't remember things as well is because you've got too much stuff in your brain. In other words,
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, you've gotten too much stuff accumulated in your knowledge that the brain starts sloughing it off. So I don't know. But all I know is getting old ain't for sissies, as Betty Davis once said. But I'm wondering if when you get older, if all this stuff you remember, you won't remember anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I think as you get older, I think you tend to keep the really old stuff, but you tend to lose short-term memory. Seems to go very bad.
Let's show people what you do. I was born on December 18th, 1939. What day of the week was it?
That was a Monday.
See? Now, he may be wrong. but
well, we can ask Echo.
Okay. I will ask Echo. Echo, what day of the week was December 18th, 1939?
December 18th, 1939 was on a Monday.
On a Monday.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, but it took her longer to come up with it than it took you.
No, she was pretty quick.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm just going to pick a date at random. This is going to be ridiculous. What day of the week? Oh, was December 18th, 1812.
Yeah, I couldn't go back that far.
You can't go back that far? Why?
No.
I can
go back to actually, because the calendar is the same every 28 years. So when you told me 1939, I looked at 1967.
Yeah, but how do you know that was the date on 1967?
Because I was alive in 1967, I can remember things from then.
Oh, I see. It has to be while you were alive that you somehow can go back to that date.
So I can basically go back to, by using the 28-year calendar, I can go back to about 1900. So.
Okay, to 1900.
So, like 1939,
okay.
Your birthday would have been the same in 1911.
I see. In 1911, it would be exactly the same.
Ask Echo what was December 18th, 1911. It should be a Monday.
Okay. Echo, what day was December 18th, 1911?
December 18th, 1911.
Monday.
Yeah.
Yep. So every 28 years, it's the same.
Every 28 years.
So if I was born in 39, when would the next 28-year period come to a close? In other words, when will I repeat that year?
Well, it repeated in 67. It'll generally, your birthday will also be on a Monday and a couple more years before that, but the calendar is always the same every 28 years.
What do you mean the same? I don't know.
Weird pattern because of the leap years and everything.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Because it's a marvelous thing you do there, and I didn't realize that every 28 years it's the same calendar.
Yeah.
But I could have had Monday birthdays other times as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. Well, anyway, folks, he was right. Okay. So that's what you've got. Okay.
That's what I've got.
That's your but there are a few other things. I mean, you're good at just remembering all kinds of stuff. Historical.
I can remember certain things, yeah, like when I go to bed at night, sometimes, like the other night, I sat down and started with 1970, and I could go up to like 1995, where I could remember at least an event from every month from 1970 to 1995.
What do you mean an event? In your life or just an event?
My life or something that happened, and yeah, it's just very marginal things, but I can remember at least something that happened each of those months. So,
okay, well, this is March. What happened in this month?
Well, I can remember, I started March 12th, 1970. It snowed in Cincinnati, where I lived. I remember that. So.
Mm-hmm. So,
and that was a Thursday.
Well, see, there we go. What was her name? The woman that was on Taxi.
Mary Lou Henner.
Mary Lou Henner. I interviewed her, and she's known as one of the world's great phenoms when it comes to this sort of thing. She can remember what happened on every day of her life.
Yeah, she's one of a dozen people in the world that can do that. It's a certain type of memory, and she can, like you could say March 12th, 1970, she could tell you what she had for lunch.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And she's she is amazing, yeah.
But what will happen when she reaches my age? Will she start losing it is what I'm wondering.
That's a good question, yeah. She was born in 52, I know that. So.
Yeah.
In fact, she was on an interview with Bob Costas once, and he said, "Where were you on the day that we landed on the moon?" And she just doubled over laughing hysterically because that was the night she lost her virginity.
Did she say that?
Yeah, and she would have been so she would have been 17 then. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, amazing. Well, so I mean, you are really rather prodigious with this. I mean, you're not as good as Mary Lou Henner.
No, not even close. No.
But you're amazing. I mean, a lot of times I will talk about our shows in San Francisco, and I will say, "Oh, the day we had Jay Leno on or something," and you will remember the date. Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. It's hard to remember. There's so many days we did in the radio show that those tend to run together. But
yeah,
I do remember when you had Camille Paglia on. That was October of '92.
Didn't I have to do her in another studio?
She freaked out when she saw the audience, so you had to go to the private studio with her to interview her.
Right. Yeah. I remember.
She just saw I remember she came in and saw all the people sitting there, and she was wigged out.
I remember, though, on the whole, I got along with her.
You did, yeah.
And she's a very difficult person.
She is. She's kind of a feminist, but she's kind of a free thinker. She had some. I liked her.
I liked her a lot too. I remember I liked her. I don't know.
She was kind of controversial. I don't know if she's still alive. I don't even know.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Echo, is Camille Paglia still alive?
From idlebirthdays.net. As per our current database, Camille is still alive. As per Wikipedia, last update, May 10th, 2020.
Okay, she's still
If
alive.
you'd like another answer, just say, next.
Forget it. Echo, forget it.
So she is alive. Okay.
Yeah, she is alive. Right. So,
Sadly, not alive is we lost Raquel Welch.
Yes. I don't know that she was one of my. She wasn't. I don't think she was in my spank bank.
Really? Because when I saw her as a teenager, I thought my head was going to pop off.
Well, I mean, she had an incredible body. Do you know? You're going to find this impossible to believe, but it's absolutely true. She never did a nude scene.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. She was against doing nude scenes. I think because that's what everybody expected out of her. And so she just never did it. She never had a reason to do it. She get hired for other stuff, but she didn't want it, would never do a nude scene. And how old was she when she died? 82 or something?
82, yeah.
Yeah. And I think still not looking terrible.
No.
But that's what face work will do for you. Thank you very much, folks. I'll be here all week.
Well, who's the oldest woman that still looks hot?
My wife.
That's a good, correct answer, yes.
That's the only answer I can come up with and not get hit in the head, So, no, what is the hottest, oldest woman? Something? Even at her age of, I think, 92, if I'm not mistaken, 92, 93, Rita Moreno is still kind of hot. There's a smoldering something there,
Wow.
Do you have a woman that you could name that was old that's sexy?
There's that English actress who's still around, who's got to be in her late 70s. I can't remember her name. As you know, we can't remember names.
Well, what picture did she do? Do you remember?
She was in the sequel to 2001: A Space Odyssey. I remember that.
Yeah.
I can't remember. She's English. There was another woman who looked hot. That was she was in Playboy in her 50s. She was the wife of Vicky LaMotta.
Vicky LaMotta. Yeah, Vicky LaMotta. Vicky LaMotta was very hot, actually.
Yeah, she's in Playboy in her mid-50s, I think.
Yeah. Now we're getting to people that nobody who's listening to us remembers. Okay. So.
Well, Jake LaMotta, who was based on the Raging Bull, I think.
Well, you said that the woman was in the sequel to 2001, which was 2010. Okay. See, that's where I know stuff, okay? 2010, 2001. Oh, there we go. Come on. 2004, 2010, the year we make contact. Terrible movie, by the way. Helen Mirren.
That's it, yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, listen, even as an old lady, I saw her on the Colbert Show or something, an interview with Colbert. She came out, she put a lip lock on him like you wouldn't believe. She's supposedly still a horny old broad,
She's active.
And she has over the years, now she's getting very wrinkly, but she still exudes a certain so I'm old, screw me. It's very strange, very strange. But she's really good. Yeah, Helen Mirren. I didn't know she was in that picture. Oh, well. You don't know
Yeah, I saw that a few years ago, and she popped up. I thought, wow, it was a bad movie.
Well, you don't know that Helen Mirren's been in a lot of things because she does everything. She's a working actress. She's in Britain. When an actor acts, they don't go and say, well, I want to see the script first and see if it suits. They just say, how much? And no matter what it costs, they'll show up because it's a job, and they're working. Their job is to be an actor. That's how you wound up having John Gielgud, one of the all-time, I think it was John Gielgud, one of the all-time great Shakespearean actors and British actors, in Caligula. Or Malcolm McDowell was in that picture because they're British actors. How much are you going to pay me? You're going to pay me that much? Okay, where do I show up?
So they're desperate for money.
No, they're not desperate for money. What they do is
they just want to work.
Well, they consider it a profession, and it's like you're a plumber, right? And somebody says, "Come fix my pipes." You don't say, "Well, can you send me your resume and let me see if you live up to the qualities I need to do my plumbing." No, you'd show up and okay, here's what I charge. Are you going to pay me? Okay, I'll be there. That's basically what British actors are doing. They consider it to be a profession, and you show up. So it's pretty cool that they're that way. But so Helen Mirren shows up in a lot of stuff that you wouldn't expect her to show up. There was a comedy show on let's see here, what was it on? Was it on FX or I can't remember what, but it was called Documentary Now, and it was parodies of various well-known documentaries, and it went for about 4 seasons, and she was the host of it. Hello, I'm Helen Mirren. Welcome, and then she said, "Welcome to the 50th year of documentary now, and it's on Netflix. In case, well, you can't get Netflix, but
No.
when I talk about things like Netflix, I may as well be talking about life on Mars, because Bubs doesn't own any technology.
No.
Do you have a computer?
But
Do you have a computer?
I have heard Netflix isn't doing well. That's what I've heard.
They're doing okay. All these things are having problems now because they invested way too much money into programming and things like that, and they should have been a little more careful. But do you have a computer? No.
I have a computer, yeah.
You do? Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Of course. Because does this sound familiar to you? He has dial-up.
Dial-up.
How many people do you say still have dial-up in San Francisco?
They had 50,000.
50,000. And by the way, that's a sufficient number, but you have to realize they're all homeless. So
Probably.
So, do they ever come to you and knock on your door and go, "Aren't you tired of having dial-up?"
No, but apparently our building is hard. It needs to be rewired or something, so nobody wanted to touch it. That's AT&T said, "Yeah, we don't want to do it." So.
Well, it doesn't really need to be rewired. You have cable, don't you?
I think there is like a port in the wall. That's probably it.
But is there cable in your building? How about your neighbors? Do they have cable?
I've never asked them, no, because there's a bunch of.
The reason he never asked. The reason he never asked is he really doesn't care.
There's 12 units in the building. I know 2 people that live here, and there's the new people come and go all the time. So.
Well, next time you talk to one of them, why don't you ask them, "Do you have cable?" Because I bet you there's cable in that building. I don't think.
Okay, I'll find out.
And if you have cable in that building, then you can get the internet through the cable.
I would like to get high-speed internet. Yeah.
Yeah, you could get it through the cable. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, come on. An apartment building in San Francisco that isn't wired for internet or cable. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
I think you just don't want to ask.
I don't want to deal with Xfinity or those people. No.
Oh, why?
I don't know. They always have hidden charges. They got to send somebody out to tear your apartment up. I talked to somebody a couple years ago. They had internet service, but they sent it. I think it was totally wireless. You had to, if your building was in an area of the city where there was other buildings, they had to have a direct shot at your place. And it was,
well, actually, if there are 4G systems where you can now get onto the internet using 4G, which is pretty much in every city now. But there are a lot of things you could do, but quite frankly, I don't want to have to put you through them because you'll go crazy.
I'll go crazy. Yeah.
You'll go crazy. I mean, for instance, right now we could be doing this seeing you physically, right?
That would be a minus, yes.
That would be a minus, right? Because you really don't want to be seen, do you?
No.
I do these things.
That's why I loved radio. That was so much fun.
Michael Snyder,
you could go up with mustard on your shirt. And
yeah, well, I used to do, Michael Snyder, I do every couple of weeks doing movie reviews here. And he doesn't want to use the video, right? I mean, he can do it. We could then do a video thing, but he doesn't want to do it. And he even, when I call him using Zoom, he turns his camera off. He doesn't even want me to see him.
Okay.
Privately.
I understand.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we're all getting older, but come on. Hey, listen, if I'm brave enough to show myself, right? I mean, what's the problem with looking at Larry Bubbles Brown? Believe me, his looks are not going to disappoint you. Where sometimes you go, boy, that voice coming out of that guy. I used to do that with radio people. I used to go, wow, I can't believe a voice comes out of that guy. And in the case of Bubbles, there's no disappointment at all. No disappointment. Anyway, hey,
I have a theory about voices that when you hear somebody's voice, for some reason you visualize what they look like.
Yeah.
And it must be because you've heard a similar voice before, and you're pegging it to that, right?
Right, exactly. Hey, listen, we have run out of time here. Gosh,
time's blown by.
Blown by, and we've had a lot of fun with Larry Bubbles Brown. Thanks, Larry. Let's talk next week.
Will do.
Bye-bye.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 8th year of talk like you've never heard it before.
And Larry Bubbles Brown, our old friend Larry, who I wonder. I think I forgot to ask him. Is he getting his hernia operation? Because he decided. You know something? This is what old people talk about. If you're young and you're listening to this program, this is what old people talk about. Hey, I'm getting my hernia operated on. Oh, I got a little blood test. I think I might have cancer. Touch of the cancer. That was the best excuse I ever got out of anybody for why they wouldn't show up for my program. I was supposed to have Little Richard on here in New York City, okay? And here in New York City, and he didn't show up. So we called after the show, and he said, I couldn't make it. I had a touch of the cancer. And to this day, I wonder what a touch of the cancer is. I guess what I had with my prostate turned out to be a touch of the cancer. I don't know. Anyway, so it's Friday night already. I didn't get any sleep last night. You know why? I was up till 4:30 in the morning. Well, what happened is, when I get off the air here, I have to do several things technologically. And I suddenly noticed that my email wasn't coming through. Nothing for gabnet.net, right? And none of that email was coming through, and I couldn't figure out why. And I was trying to figure it out, and I was changing things, and finally by 3 o'clock in the morning, I still hadn't solved the problem. So I decided I better go to bed. So I get into bed, and I just lie there, and my brain is buzzing. Now, if I move this and I move that and I do this and I do that, and then I get up and I come back here and try something, by the time I finally got to sleep, it was like 4:30, 4:45, and I had to get up like about 11:30 because I had to do a thing with Snyder. And I got no sleep. I'm here sleepless in New York. So anyway, that was what happened to us. So anyway, by the way, last night we had a Zoom bomber who got through. He got through because he was very. I got to hand it to him. He was. If you're listening, good going. What he did is we have a guy who was calling this new caller to this program named Wayne. And it said Wayne, and I went, well, I got to let this guy on because I like Wayne, and I want to encourage him to call more often. And I go to Wayne, and sure enough, there's Wayne, but he's not talking. He's not saying anything. I say, hello, Wayne, and he's not saying anything. And then all of a sudden, the guy Zoom bombs us with porn. All right, so I'm finally hit the button. I get him off the screen because I put myself up, which I know doesn't look as good as the porn. And we just had a little little stuff get on the air last night. Every time this has happened, I get record numbers the next day. I guess people say, "Hey, did you see what went on last night? Did you see the porn?" I mean, it was like 4 seconds worth. But so to that guy, congratulations. Okay, we really appreciate it. Anyway, let me admit our citizen panel, that which we have at this moment, which isn't a hell of a lot. Let's see, we got Josh Whedon there, and we got the lovely and attractive Alan, and we have the real Wayne. Now, you notice what I've done. He had me write him and say, give me a name to use so that you'll know it's really me. So that's the name we've used.
Zoom Bomber.
So I gave him the name Zoom Bomber. We'll use that for a little bit until people start calling. Well, they'll probably start writing Zoom Bomber now, but Maybe we'll change it next week or something. But
You might even see Phil tonight, the real Phil.
yeah, I know, because there's a little
Test
something.
box.
No, don't say what it is. Were you
He's
gonna blow?
pregnant.
Were you gonna blow the surprise?
I didn't know there was a surprise.
Oh, well,
He's pregnant.
he's pregnant. No, why would he call on Friday night?
I don't know why.
He wants to irritate us.
Yes,
Yeah, there you go.
he
Thank
wants
you.
to make our life miserable.
Right.
Anyway, so hello, Josh. How are you doing this week?
Good, how are you?
Fine. I mean, except for the fact that I didn't get any sleep last night. You know, it's terrible when you just lie there and you don't go to sleep. It's
Yes,
just
it is.
anguishing. What?
Alexa, turn off office light.
I said, yes, it is. I
Yeah.
have experience with that.
You have experience with that? Bad experience with it? Because usually I'm pretty good at getting to sleep, you know.
Yeah, I have experience with that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you ever take a pill or something to put you to sleep?
I have tried things in the past that did not work.
Yeah, well, what's pretty good for that is Xanax, oddly enough.
Yeah,
Relaxes your mind.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it always puts me to sleep, but I don't take it now because I take this pregabalin, and the two together would make me just completely lupified. Oh, look who's there. Look who's joined us tonight.
Yeah, I've been laying down all day,
Why?
and my drugs are more expensive than your drugs.
What is that?
Paxlovid.
Well, it didn't cost me anything.
Yeah, but you know that it costs the government $530 for a 5-day prescription?
Can you get it for free?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Somebody's got to pay.
Yeah, but
Like
believe me,
you.
the government isn't paying $530.
Well, that's what I was told, $530. And all you Democrats are paying for it. Oh, God,
So you
I-
have Paxlovid.
All right, it's good seeing you, Phil. Good
Which
night.
which means that everybody. Wait a minute. Do I have my face mask here? No, I don't.
Yeah, put on a mask.
Everybody should put on their face mask because you have COVID.
COVID. Yeah, I thought I escaped the COVID plague. I thought that the Chinese virus would never get me. I forgot to wear my helmet for protection.
Yeah.
It's an odds game, Phil. You don't wear a mask.
So do you feel sick? You feel ill?
Nah, I feel like I've got a very mild cold, but I'm a little tired.
Yeah. Well, you'll find
other than-
Paxlovid. If you, when did you take your test? When did you?
I took the test this morning,
Mhm.
and I took the Paxlovid. Let's see, it was 4 my time, and now it's 8, so about 4 hours ago.
So yeah. Well, if you take the test tomorrow, it'll
Yeah.
probably go away. You know.
That'd
It
be
says
good.
Tony entered the waiting room. I'm going to assume this is actually Tony, but I'm going to keep my finger on the camera.
Yeah, I was thinking about putting a name in that only you and I would know who it was.
Yeah. Oh, there is Tony. That actually is Tony. Hello, Tony.
It could be a video of Tony from last night.
If I get COVID, Alex, 3,000 miles away from this guy again, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
You've already had COVID, Tony.
I had it without the vaccine.
Yeah. But
So now-
you know, you'll be okay. Phil will be okay. He's not gonna.
Oh,
You
yeah.
don't think
He's
Did
not
they
gonna.
give you
He's
the
not gonna do
suppository
anything.
first?
He's not gonna do anything positive like die on us.
I knew he was gonna say- I had to call into him when you told me.
Yeah.
I was waiting for him to get on you, Alex. I fell.
Yeah.
Imagine if he didn't take the turn for the worst call. Alex, would you give a good eulogy? if
Oh
you had
God,
to?
I think there's coffee in him again.
Hey, he would
There
go
is,
to
Alex.
Alex would go to
He
chat
knows me like a
GPT.
book. It's so true.
I hate to see you on cocaine for crying out loud.
Yeah, really.
That would.
Hey, Alex.
Ever since you said the coffee, it does jack me up.
Hey,
Can you
Tony,
go to Chat
shut the
GBT?
fuck up, okay? Okay.
Yeah. Can you go to
Okay.
Chat GPT and get a eulogy for me?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
It doesn't do eulogies?
Well,
and
no,
wants
wouldn't
money
know
for
who you are.
them? Oh.
That's true, yeah.
See, I
He
mean,
was such a nice man.
there's enough stuff out there for me to be able to have it right about me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you get the drug you got? It's in suppository form. You're not supposed to swallow them, Phil.
You're the only one that likes to swallow stuff around here.
I take a few pills.
Well, it's a fun Friday night, right, Josh?
I'm going to be up to 3.
Sure.
I'm watching it.
Anyway, Josh, what is there anything in the news that you would like to talk about at all?
Well, let's see. I really don't care about that murder trial thing. I was a little disbelief that was the top story on the news this morning on my way into work.
Yes.
I can't believe that.
And last night, when it came through last night too.
It's not like it wasn't like a murder trial for some Klansman who lynched a black man in 1960. I mean, it was a guy. It was a family.
There was a murder.
There is one good thing about it. There is one good thing about it is they came to a nice, quick verdict, and now it's gone. Thank God.
Yeah.
So,
well, they went back into the jury room to take a leak and then came back.
Yeah,
I mean, that's how
basically.
fast it was.
I followed none of that. I have no idea.
Well, here's what Marjorie watched a lot of it. Okay, which I'm ashamed to admit that I'm even married to her when I talk about that. But I mean, she watched it, and I kept telling her, "This is not important news." You know, this is a looky-loo drama that's perfect for MSNBC and Fox and CNN to run a lot of, because they don't have to pay anybody.
Tonight.
They don't have to. They don't have to pay anybody to do it. And but when you get down to it, Marjorie says, "Well, you know, it was an important trial." And I said, "The only thing that made it important is they covered it.
It wasn't important.
Otherwise, it wasn't. It was. There was a murder here in New York last week of a young child and his mother.
Yeah.
Now, do you think there's going to be a coverage of that trial on MSNBC?
No.
No.
So, I mean, for the folks who were interested, you know, like a Court TV or on YouTube or something, I mean, you know, in the sense of freedom, it's perfectly fine if people are really into that. It's no different than Kevin and I might watch a ball game or something. You know, that's fine. I don't know why it was the top story at 7 a.m. East Coast time for CNN, you know.
Well,
But
those are the channels it's for.
I mean, you know, that's a little odd, but I think the biggest, I don't know, maybe the largest news of the week might have been, you know, the court dug into the challenge to the student loan forgiveness plan and program this week. You know, and I have not had time to go back and listen to the oral argument. I do like to hear those. Maybe I'll play that in the morning when I'm running my morning
here's
errands and stuff like that. You know,
why is it you know that CNN and those people don't run that? I guess they don't run it because it's just audio only,
right?
But why don't they run that? That's important stuff.
Well, that is important stuff. I mean, you know, even though it's audio only, you know, C-SPAN they'll air it that night. They might do it earlier now, because it used to be when they had an oral argument that they didn't release the tape of the oral argument until later in the day. And then for your important cases, or a lot of them, C-SPAN would play it that night on their, you know, America in the courts. You know, they would just put it up on the screen, the, you know, face of whoever was talking and things like that, or maybe a little description of what's going on, and they would play it. But now, I think it started last year when they went to that Zoom temporarily, and now that they're back, they let it keep going. They're actually letting you stream it now, I believe, live.
Yeah, in the mornings until they have to go to the house and stuff. Then they got
no more delay. And if you can't get it on C-SPAN, I think you can get the live feed on C-SPAN.
Wait a minute! You telling me that C-SPAN didn't cover that murder trial?
Wow. No, I thought that was you know, bad thing. You know, Trump did it or something maybe. So they shied off of that. But you know, that was probably I don't know if it was the biggest news, but it was one of the most important things, that has the potential, to affect a lot of people, one way or
but
the
far
other.
be it for MSNBC to cover that.
Right.
I
Well,
mean,
the other thing is the transportation bill that they're starting to bring back because of the train wreck. They're going to start bringing back all that stuff that they were arguing about a couple years ago, and they're bringing that back.
you mean the stuff that Trump
Yeah, pretty much.
vetoed?
The fines, the rules that they were going to, the hazardous materials rules that they were going to enforce, the reporting that when a hazmat train comes through your place, the weight rules, all that stuff. That's supposedly a bipartisan bill that's
I'll tell you,
going
there's a
through.
people don't realize this, and I think I should make it known that there's a terrible side effect of a train wreck like that, is that Aaron Brockovich comes to your town.
Yeah.
Everybody shows up.
around.
Everybody shows up to take advantage of the situation, and they keep saying like, "Why isn't Biden here?" Well, what the hell could Biden do there?
They don't do anything but
You know?
take pictures.
Yeah, they want
It's
to
not.
they want to
it's
make
not really,
Biden look bad because he didn't show up, and when Buttigieg does show up, they complain about the way he acted when he was there. And the fact is, all these people don't really need to go there. They can look at the situation and then fight to do whatever they got to do to solve the problem back where they are. The president.
Well, I mean, it's
more than anything else.
it's it's obviously a bit of a government problem now, but I mean, it's not a government blame here. I mean, I don't blame the Trump administration for the I mean, the accident was caused.
Yeah, but it was caused. It was caused as a result, though, of legislation that, or of a. I think it was actually a. What do you call those laws where you just sign them into being?
Executive order.
Executive order. It was an executive order allowing the railroads not to have to look out for this sort of thing or take care of it. And because he signed that, if he had not done that executive order, what you saw happen out there might not have happened.
Well, I don't know. I saw a lot of information that basically said that's not true. And I read it in places that.
Well, damn it, I want to believe it.
Well,
Okay.
right. That's what I'm saying. I read it in some places that normally would jump at the chance to grill him over that.
Yeah.
I mean, the underlying cause was not really, I don't think, a particular act or non-act by Trump or Biden.
was
The
a
underlying
mechanical
cause is negligence by, large companies that don't always do what they should do.
Well, my
when they
question
make
my question would
It
be what?
It was a mechanical incident that caused it.
Yes.
Right.
But that was from lack of maintenance and lack of infrastructure upkeep.
Right.
Well,
was
there
basically
are sensors on the track. I think still they're out there that can see if these things are heating up.
Mm-hmm.
Then apparently it either didn't work or somebody was asleep at the switch, so to
Well,
speak.
what they were saying was that it did work, but there weren't enough of them to catch it and give enough warning.
Now, is that the fault? Is that the fault of the railroad?
Oh, I think so. I mean, it's their stuff. Yeah. I mean, I think the government could force them to do more than they normally do, which is what government usually has to do. If you leave it up to the rail companies alone, or any company in that realm,
The minimum.
they're always going to be willing to take the gamble. I mean,
Yeah.
because they're rich enough to not lose money on the one time they lose the gamble. I mean, it's like billionaires making large bets in Las Vegas or whatever. If they make more money, they do, and if they don't, well, it hurts them,
Well, that's
but
the
not
point
really.
That's the point behind the legislation is that a lot of those things that were brought up by the unions, and the unions, the guys out there doing these things and doing this maintenance were saying that the shit was getting left behind and not being done, and they were the ones bringing up all this stuff. That
I love the railroad. They say that they're out there in Palestine, or is it East Palestine? I think They're out there giving people millions of dollars to get their lives together. And I'm thinking, how many people live there? Millions of dollars? That ain't going to solve the problem.
They're out there to shut them up.
Yeah. Oh, well, they have to, if they take any of the money from these $1,000 outlays, they have to sign a piece of paper saying they won't sue.
Sure they do.
Right. Yeah, I don't think they're doing the right thing for sure. But here's the problem with the politics of it. For example, is if you don't think they're doing the right thing and you think that Biden should do something about it or make them, I guess I don't have much of a difference with that. But the people that are criticizing him right now for not doing that, conservatives or Republicans or constitutionalists or whatever, will be the first one to tell you that government shouldn't have a hand in that, that he shouldn't have that power, So that's just the politics of it, which is why I don't listen to someone criticizing him, I don't even really know who has been, but if a Marco Rubio or a Ted Cruz or whatever.
Well, no, they've been out there.
It's hypocritical of them to do it.
They've been on TV saying, hey, where's the president? Right. He hasn't come out here. And I always, it always bothered me why the president shows up even where there's been a hurricane or something. Isn't he better off being in Washington signing bills and getting money appropriated to save those people than taking an airplane flight out there just so everybody can go, the president came to see us, Yeah,
I've never been a huge fan of it. I mean, I guess I'm indifferent to it either way if it makes people feel better or whatever, but it probably doesn't. I mean, it's a bit of a stunt. It's done by them all.
They didn't ask Lincoln to do this, but then again, it would have taken him about a year to get to wherever he had to go to look at the disaster.
So I don't have a problem that he didn't visit. In all honesty, the person that you do want to visit is, Buttigieg or whatever. That's the person who actually runs an organization that has some power. Mm-hmm.
But they said, why didn't you?
I think maybe the EPA director is there. I don't know.
They said, why didn't you get here sooner to Buttigieg? And my answer would be he didn't get out there faster because he was busy taking care of the problem back in his offices where he could, he has all his experts and so on, and he can solve the problem.
Well, that's
what he said himself. He said that himself. He said he was not going to get in the way of the emergency personnel because when he goes out there, they got to close the streets down for this, and he just disrupts the emergency process.
Well, I've talked many times about when we had the earthquake in San Francisco and how Dan Quayle came out to visit and completely obstructed everything in the neighborhood. They had the cops following him and taking care of him, and it was just it was a show. It was just a show, and we didn't need that kind of show. We just needed immediate help.
Right.
I
mean, at the end of the day, for me, I'm just saying that a train derailed, very bad accident, a lot of negligence on the part of the company, taking care of it. But for me, at the end of the day, I'm not going to blame Trump, and I'm not going to blame Biden. I mean, a train derailed. We don't need to blame the president of the United States or the former president of the United States as, like they were some direct causation to this. I mean, I'm not saying one of them or the other or both maybe couldn't have done a little more, or should have this or should have that. But I mean, pretty soon, every time there's a fender bender on the freeway in fucking Los Angeles, we're going to have to hold, one of our former presidents account. I mean, it's just getting a little bit,
Phil, any thoughts on this? I'm afraid to ask.
Well, it's a tragedy, and rather than look to place blame, I'd look to see what can be done to fix it. And, before you throw me off, the only thing I thought about the Murtaugh deal.
Before I throw you off.
Yeah, they went a little too hard on the guy. After all, he's a widower, and he just lost his son.
Yeah, but he may have killed them.
I understand. But,
here's what let me throw this out. Now, this sounds strange, and bear with me here. But I wonder what good there is in even throwing a guy like Murtaugh in jail for the rest of his life. I mean,
That's right. Execute them.
no. What I'm saying here is,
Yeah.
it's not like this guy's going to go back home and kill a whole bunch of people. All right. I mean, having him have to maybe stay at home for the rest of his life might be a better answer. Wouldn't clog up the prisons. I just don't know why we are so punitive in our laws. We have a tendency to be very punitive when we find somebody and find them guilty of something, and then we throw the book at them.
That's what I'm doing with the Restorative Justice Council with the DA. Is our issues are not punitive. What we look to do is restore the harm to the neighborhood and
Restore the harm to the neighborhood.
Yeah, it might have been theft,
What do you mean?
vandalism.
What do you mean restore the harm?
Well, these are the words that they use in restorative justice.
They say restore the harm.
Yeah. You see,
That's
for
cool
instance,
How do
there's
you,
been
if you
somebody.
restore the harm, you bring back the
Listen to
criminals
this.
to beat up on everybody.
Well, these are nonviolent things. These are just misdemeanors, first-time offenders, and maybe they did some graffiti or.
You mean restore what the harm did?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
I think it's a bad term to say restore harm.
and then give them an opportunity to move on without a criminal record. I think is a good thing. It gives people a second chance. And maybe the Justice Department hasn't worked with punitive justice. Maybe using this restorative approach, you got nothing to lose.
Well, you see,
we already know that what we got doesn't work.
What they said that was punitive, okay, was that we're giving him 2 life sentences, not even coexisting with each other, so that concurrent, but 2 life sentences. So if he eventually dies and then he comes back to life or something, we can throw him back in jail again.
How long? How long is a life sentence? Is it 40 years?
In the case of, but I think if it's without possibility of parole, that's
Yeah.
it.
Well,
That's what they
sometimes
gave him.
a life sentence might be, I think, 40 years. So if you have 2 life sentences, that's 80.
Yeah, but he was given 2 life sentences without possibility of parole. Okay. But I mean, even in other countries, they have far lighter sentences for things. They say, hey, if we arrest a kid when he's 18 and he does something horrible, even murders somebody, and then we tell him he's got to spend the rest of his life in prison, well, that's kind of ridiculous, because by the time he's 40, he's probably a whole different person.
Well, if you serve your entire sentence without the possibility of parole, that doesn't mean at the end of the sentence you can't be let out because you served your sentence.
What about life? Don't you understand here, Phil? They say
I understand that
say
a life sentence has a time stamp on it, and that it might be 25 years or 40 years, but it has an end date as to when he served his time without possibility of parole. So could he then, after, let's say it's one sentence served concurrently for 40 years, at the end of 40 years, can this guy just walk out?
What's ridiculous is they didn't even have to give him a life sentence. That was to say, see, we got you. Because how old is this guy now?
About 60, I think.
In his 60s? Anybody know? I don't know.
I think about 60.
Yes, about 60. How many more years has he got left? He could have another 5 years. He could have another 15 years. But he's never going to have to do more than about...
So that's a death sentence, not a life sentence.
You could put it that way, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I just went, people, I know people are going to find this ridiculous, but what's being served? They pointed something out tonight in a discussion I saw, I can't remember where, and it was an interesting thing that this person said. They said the problem is that the reason he got found guilty was because the prosecution wasn't going for the death penalty. If the prosecution was going to the death penalty, they said the jurors would be much more careful about their deliberation.
Really think so?
That's what they said, and it makes sense. That they wouldn't just offhand say he's guilty. They'd really mull it over, because the end product is going to be an execution if they're wrong. So
Can we
that
get back to talking about the train?
what?
What do you want to have a train?
No, Alex didn't want to talk about the murder, and that's all we've been talking about.
Well, I
But
don't.
here's
thought
my. Can I say? I'm sorry.
There was a point that I wanted to make. That's all.
Okay, Tony. Maybe,
Yeah, I was gonna.
If
try to
if
follow
anybody
this up,
can
'cause I-
sidetrack this discussion, it'll be Tony. Go ahead.
No,
Tony.
actually, I'm gonna add to this discussion. I hope. Actually, I was watching some true crime with my sister, so they were showing like different big cases over time. So we were watching the Manson case and stuff like that. And here's a question, though. I even told this to my sister. She says, "What did you think?" She asked me. Here's a question I asked you. I don't think these people could exist on the outside, Alex, like certain people.
What do you mean?
Like would like I don't think Manson. They could never let him out, even though he never murdered anybody.
Oh, come on! He just got
He's a-
he just got cranky one day. Okay.
No, but do you think there's certain people that just can't exist outside the realms of
No,
a
I
prison cell?
think Manson actually probably enjoyed being in prison for the rest of his life.
He probably felt safe there.
I think he felt that was the society he could understand. He had spent most of his life in prison anyway before he got arrested for this, you know. And oh, look who's dancing! Oh wow! Oh man! Oh, go girl, go! Go girl, go! Go girl, go! Huh? Little entertainment here. Yeah, we'll get demonetized for that, you know. But what is a 6-year-old girl now? How old is she?
7.
Boy, she gets more adorable by the day, Brian. But don't tell her that. Look at that. Okay. Any thoughts on this, Vernon?
As I heard the judge sentence this guy, they said that he was to serve the rest of his natural life in prison. They didn't say life in prison without the possibility of parole. They said you are sentenced to the rest of your natural life in prison.
Okay, so does that enable them to give him a parole?
No, it's without parole.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this guy, I would say, if you want my opinion, this guy won't be alive 10 years from now. You know?
Probably not, but I can't help but feel sorry for the son who was left behind. You know,
I was just about to mention that. You know, we never think about. Here's a brother who obviously is a victim of whatever happened, and now he's victimized some more.
And you don't know what's going to happen to him either because of all these civil lawsuits that were going after the family's estate.
Yeah. Well, he's certainly not responsible, but there's going to be no estate for him to inherit. That's
Exactly.
for damn sure. You know. But you know, he's got redder hair than Prince Harry. Do you realize that?
he's like firecracker, yeah.
Yeah, really.
And he looked frail. I was watching the guy, the husband. He looks like he's like you could see the way his mannerisms.
Well,
are,
of course.
like
I mean, he's
control.
you know. I mean,
He looks bad.
Look, I don't know whether he did it or he didn't do it, and I don't care. Okay, I don't think it's that important a story. Murder stories happen all the time, and what are you going to do about it? You know, I mean,
They never did come up with a why.
what?
They never did come up with why.
Why
Why
he
would he do it?
Well, they said the prosecution claimed that he did it because he was trying to. He felt that the death of his wife and child at the hands of a murderer somewhere would get him off the hook with all the other stuff that was going on because it would make him sympathetic. That was their take on it. I don't know that I buy that as a motive. I think if there was a motive, the fact was he was all high on OxyContin and whatever drug
Yeah,
he was
all
doing.
jumped up on dope.
And I think if he did it in a fit of just going crazy, going nuts. You know, that's always possible. In which case, you have a mitigating circumstance. You know, being all drugged up and doing something like that, you can claim he was not in control of his senses at the time. But it's not. We're even discussing, and it's not that important to discuss. I think the only thing that's important to discuss about it is why the media just absolutely zoomed in on this thing. I mean, out of all the murder trials that are going on in the entire country, you know, there is this channel that did the best coverage of it, which is called like Trial and Something. Do you know what I'm talking about? And they do this, they're like the old court TV. They do this all the time, do trials and so on and so forth. And it's okay for them. Let them cover it, Move on to other stuff. I didn't hear about all the other news that's happening, not only here, but in the world. And I think it's that priority that these news operations have that is a bit amiss, okay? They should have a better sense of what's important, and they don't. But anyway, so.
And now we're talking about it for an hour.
Huh? Yeah.
And now we're talking about it for an hour.
Well, well, the larger question is, this week the big story has been pretty much what Rupert Murdoch told in a deposition about Fox News. And it's pretty much put Fox News in a very bad position now. Because what it's really done is that when you got Rupert Murdoch saying, yes, we lied, I don't know what he's thinking, to be honest with you, but I think his lawyers might have said, you got to say this because we want to take the heat off of you and seem like we're transparent. What do you think, Josh? What do you think of Murdoch's statements? You think?
I haven't really been able to hear what he said or read the articles. I keep seeing those headlines, but I really haven't read those. So,
well, I think it's really important because the people who the most were yelling fake news were fake news.
Yeah, but I mean, as to why he said what he said, then I mean, I guess I can only assume that his lawyers and his legal team advised him that if it was very likely the opposite side had proof, which they probably do, then you might as well not lie because you're just going to make things worse. So you might as well just answer the questions with the answer that they already have because they have it, and then take whatever you got coming and move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, as to the overall, I'm not surprised if Fox News manipulated stories or whatever to, push claims of election fraud and things like that. I'm sure that they did. I'm not surprised that they admitted it. I don't remember what started that lawsuit. I hardly pay attention to anything.
Well, it was Dominion. It was basically it was Dominion, and they were just
okay. So it's the defamation or whatever.
The defamation, yeah, that they feel that
well,
they
they're
were
probably
defamed.
right. Yeah, I always shy away from stories about Murdoch and Fox News and all that, but I forgot this one was attached to something that was actually an important bit of actual news. I mean, that is some seriousness that they did probably, defame a reputable company, with no cause, and now they have no proof for their own reporting. And on the opposite side, the plaintiff has proof that they knew they were lying when they said it, so that's probably not good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was very forthcoming. They were asking him about the hosts and whether they lied. And they named some of the hosts, and he was going, Janine Pirro? Absolutely. Lou Dobbs? Are you? Yes, all the way. He like completely threw Lou Dobbs under a bus. Am I right or wrong, Vernon? Lou Dobbs is off of Fox, right?
Yes.
Yes. And he was thrown off as the,
Scapegoat.
I don't watch Fox, but I think the reason we heard Rupert Murdoch testify the way he did is because he was under oath and he did not want to commit perjury.
What are they going to do? Throw him in jail? He's 92 years old. Yeah, really. By the time the trial comes up, he'll be dead. Do
you think that if they put the other agencies under oath, that they would admit the same thing?
What do you mean other agencies?
Whether I use MSNBC.
Well, you're saying the other networks.
Yeah.
Well, they would, but they're not being sued by Dominion. So,
I understand.
So the question wouldn't even be asked of them.
No, I'm asking if they were under oath,
But they would.
would they say the same thing?
They'd have to do something so egregious that they would have to testify.
Well, the right thinks they did.
What? What did they do that was
egregious? Hunter Biden's laptop.
No. Hunter Biden's
a whole
laptop.
bunch of
Wait a minute.
stuff.
Hunter Biden's
That's not
laptop.
defamation. That's not a defamation lawsuit.
Yeah, and hold on. What's his name? Hunter Biden's laptop was a Fox story.
Right.
You never saw it on MSNBC. You never saw it on CNN. You never.
Other news or other reporting agencies said that it was a non-story and it wasn't true, and then it turns out to be true.
No, it's not. They don't know
maybe
that
they were in.
Wait a minute.
Okay,
and they
so
could have
where's-
affected
Wait a minute. You're
the
saying
election
you're saying
for
it's
Trump.
true.
No, where's the case? Where's the case?
It doesn't matter where the case is.
No,
There has to be a case for them to go under oath.
There has to
There has
be
to be a case
my
for them to go
question-
under oath.
My question was, if they were under oath, would they say
No,
the
you're
truth
being
about what
hypothetical.
was
You're being
done?
hypothetical here.
Yes, I
making up
am, because they're not. There's no case. They're not being sued. But my hypothetical question
Well, they're not
is,
being sued because they didn't
Well,
do
then,
anything bad
My
enough to be sued.
hypothetical answer is yes.
yeah,
That's called whataboutism.
it doesn't matter.
It really is.
What I'm saying is, I believe that I've been betrayed by all of those media outlets, and it's
Okay,
the
well,
only
that's
one that
fine.
has actually admitted to it because they were under oath was Fox.
Well, no,
That's a
you
false
weren't.
equivalency.
No, you weren't. What was the term you used? You were
Betrayed?
Betrayed? No, you were made to be gullible
Misled.
and eat
Majorly
drink the
misled.
Kool-Aid, and then when the Kool-Aid turned out to be poisoned, you feel bad that you got poisoned.
No,
That's the
I'm
Jim
angry
Jones
that that's what they did when I trusted the information, and I think that the information.
Well, did
that
you wait a minute? Did you
people are
not
being-
spout that information on this program?
Of course.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I believe it.
then why aren't
I
you being
believe-
put on trial?
I believe that it came from a trusted source, and you guys
They-
believe
So
that
Yavnet is
trusted
not a
source.
trusted
that-
source.
Therefore,
that you
they
listen to.
misled you. Therefore, they misled you.
They did, but I'm asking the hypothetical: if these other news agencies were put on the stand
But you
and
can't
asked
do
the
the
same
hypothetical
question,
And I
because
would they
say,
have the same answer?
hypothetically, yes, they would tell the truth.
And I have to take this call.
I say hypothetically no.
Hey,
Just
Jesus.
be it.
Wait a minute. Who is it?
Hypothetically,
Who cares?
Crazy
Wait a minute.
for even
Wait.
asking
Hold
the
on a second. Who's more important than we are?
no, not hypothetically. You
Am I-
are crazy for even bringing up the question.
Yeah.
Bill
Yeah. No.
comes
You,
on
you can't-
Cabinet and he hears the opposite of what he's hearing on Fox. And what does he believe? Fox.
No, but the thing is that he says he's now upset with Fox because they led him astray. Well, but he was gullible enough to agree with it.
And he dismissed anything he heard from
and he
Cabinet.
would come on this show and spout what he heard on Fox. So is that not secondary lying? But he doesn't take responsibility for it. But the idea of, to begin with, MSNBC hasn't been sued yet. And we don't know if they got sued. It might be for something else completely. And
There was no misleading articles. They weren't out there saying go out and do the January 6th crap. They weren't out there saying that the Dominion machines
Right.
were fake and stealing information. They weren't doing all that. Fox was. That's the difference.
Yeah, and they were saying it big time too. They were putting
They were not backing down on any of it.
The argument that also was given by Dominion is that even after they knew that this was a lie and realized it was a lie, they kept putting on people like Giuliani and any number. Who was the other one? That other lawyer, the female.
Bartolomeo
Sidney
or whatever
Powell.
her name is.
No, who did you say?
Sidney Powell.
Sidney Powell, yeah.
Yeah.
And they say that in spite of the fact that they knew that those things weren't true, they put these people on to put forward those theories and pretty much agreed with them while they were on the air.
How did they know they weren't true?
Oh, they knew because they were sending texts to each other saying it wasn't.
Well, Trump is no. That was the newscasters for Fox.
Yes.
But Trump said it was true, and Giuliani and Powell supported Trump And
they were simply aiding the lie, Phil.
They were parrots. They had no proof.
I don't know that you can prove that they knew for a fact that it was untrue, and they were continuing to
come on, Phil.
Load on.
Why don't you go ask Mike Lindell too?
Well, there's a benefit here for Mike Lindell because Fox advertising is going to get so cheap.
Yeah,
it's going to be the My Pillow
wait a minute.
station.
Hold on a second.
Exactly.
The reason they kept the one they kept putting on, one of the ones they were putting on was Mike Lindell, who was saying it was the Dominion machines. In fact, he's being sued for $1 billion or something like that.
I've got the numbers. I've got the numbers.
Yeah, I hope he's got enough. Numbers. I hope he got enough money stuffed in his pillows to pay off the suit.
Fucking moron.
That's why he has the My Pillow 2.0. 2.0 is a different company.
He's got
bankrupt My Pillow 2.1.
Coming out with a Giza jockstrap thing.
Yes, Tony.
Yeah, I'll never forget. It's my mother's birthday tomorrow, right? So when we were watching, we used to watch when she was alive.
What are you going to do? Dig her up and have a birthday party? What's?
Did you see his father's grave site? He's putting all sorts of trash and gluing it to his father's headstone.
He's doing what?
So listen to this.
He's gluing trash to his father's headstone.
Listen to this, Alex. When my mother was alive, we used to
wait a minute. Hold on. Be nice to Tony. He's an orphan. Go ahead.
Yeah. Listen to this. When my mother was alive, we would sit on the couch, and I'll never forget the day when she said we saw that My Pillow guy, Phil and Alex. Right? So she goes, "What the fuck does he know about anything?" And my mother knows nothing about politics. She knew about A&S linens. I says, "Ma, I don't know what he does." Can I ask you a question, Alex? And even to Phil.
Why don't you ask me a question? Go ahead. Ask me a question.
What does he have?
And then I'll have Brian ask you a question.
Yeah. No, what does he have? I have to admit this, Phil. He has to have something on Giuliani.
Mm-hmm.
Trump. He has
this
to.
This is the Magno headstone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's my little Ernie Bretta.
And he glued this shit.
I glued him on. My father's probably cursed me out. Yeah, I never threw him out.
What did you glue onto your?
Ernie, Mr. Potato was small. They took me to Sesame Street, so I saved the pieces when I was a kid, and I put them on the tombstone for him.
I think it's Mr. Potato Head.
No, that's.
I guess you can.
Yeah, they don't do that. They don't take him off. They keep it nice there.
Oh, shut up!
Oh, sorry. Sorry. But Alex, what does he have on Trump? What does he have on Rudy? He's got to have something on him.
Who?
Trump. He's got to have something.
Rudy's a maniac. Rudy's a maniac.
He's lying so much.
Tony, it's a conspiracy.
He wants the spotlight.
I don't know. I think there's something there, Alex. I think he owes him.
No.
You got to watch the documentary. That documentary was good. CNN
documentary, yeah. The CNN was great, and they're doing one over there on MSNBC, and I don't know how they're going to improve on it. I think they have Giuliani's son on it or something.
Oh, that fucking idiot!
But I mean, the CNN documentary was incredible because what it really did is it pretty much, I think the title was something like "What Happened to Rudy Giuliani." I mean, that he went from this reputation that was positive to this completely negative.
Yeah.
He just completely became this nutcase. And what they show in this documentary is he was always this way. It's just as he got older, he became more manic about it. But the way he handled things as mayor in New York City and so on was not unlike the kind of way he's been acting lately. That it was just kind of more subdued. Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Anyway, so
yes.
Let me see here. What else happened this week? Nothing really happened this week.
Well, Phil got COVID.
Yeah. Well, I do think the student loan challenge will probably lose.
Really? What do you mean the challenge?
Yeah.
The challenge will lose.
The comments that I heard come out sounded like it was going to go down.
Yeah.
What was going to go down? The student loan program?
Yeah, I think everybody.
The executive order to reduce loan amounts and things like
So
everybody's going to pay for their schooling.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything wrong with that. I think that anytime, because it's an investment we're making in people who have gotten an education, And that education, for the most part, is going to go out and help the rest of the country. You know, it's going to help. It's the future of America.
There's nothing wrong with it, but the court isn't deciding whether or not there's anything wrong with it.
Just whether
the court
he was
is being asked to decide whether or not the president of the United States has the power and authority to make that decision.
Whether he
which is totally different.
So the question would be, he would then have to actually go through Congress, is what they're asking.
Right.
Yeah. And of course that would.
At the end of the day, I think that will be the decision.
Yeah.
And it probably should be.
What are the limits on those executive orders? I mean, it seemed like Trump was making them left and right, and you know,
well,
I mean,
if as the person in charge of the executive branch, the president has the power to determine how the executive branch functions.
Mm-hmm.
But you can get into areas of that open for interpretation. For example, he's probably going to sign some other executive orders in regards to student loans that direct the carriers who are government owned, that used to be the Freddie Mae and Freddie Mac, whatever they call them, something different now after they went bankrupt, on how they should calculate what people pay. I won't go into it. It gets really complicated because it used to be 10% of your discretionary income, which is how much you make over the poverty limit, blah, 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 this, that, after expenses and all the other. And he'd like to have it changed to 5%, which could cut people's payments in half. I think he probably has the power to do that, because that's not eliminating any debt. That is simply redefining how they, as an agency, decide to collect the debt. He is the de facto head of that agency. So he probably has that power. There's a few other things they were going to do, like certain ways that the interest is calculated, certain ways the due date. I mean, things like that. Administrative things, right? But that is a far cry different from saying you owe $50,000. No, you don't. I just said you owe $40,000. That is a different, you know, what vested power does he have that would give him, or any president, that power? So I think that's where it gets different. The same thing is, it's no different in many ways than the vaccine requirement. Okay, I'm going to make everyone in America that is working have to get a vaccine requirement because of OSHA. Well, see, that's different. I mean, they said that he didn't have the power, because I don't think that he does. He would have the power to say, OSHA, you are going to inspect these places at this interval. That's when I want you to go do your work. But that is far different from saying people must now meet this new requirement that I made up.
Yeah.
You know, if Congress had made that same exact requirement, that would be a far different thing. And then he would have the power to tell OSHA how they would enforce it. But he can't make up what needs to be enforced. You know, so it's a very similar case in my mind, you know, because it deals with executive power. See, I always remove the issue. That's the problem with everybody, is they'll start looking at the issue. The issue it doesn't matter. The issue is the detail of it, but that's beside the point. It really is. All they're really deciding is who has the power to make that decision, the executive branch or the legislative branch.
Okay.
And that's,
is it the fact that he has, whoever has gone in and said that he wants to make that decision, and now they brought it to the Supreme Court, like he's asking for the world and see what he can get?
Well, they might be, but
if he doesn't get it, he can still do these other.
Let me do this. Let me ask Wayne. Any comments? Because you've been very quiet tonight, so I want to give you a chance. Sometimes when you're new, you don't know you can just jump in whenever you want to, but
unless you're me.
Yeah.
No, nothing out of what I've already heard already. So much agree with Josh and Kevin.
What do you think about student loans? Do you think they should be forgiven?
It'd be nice. At least cut them in half or something like that.
I mean, it is an advantage to us to have a well-educated public.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, and the only reason the Republicans are against it is because if we had a well-educated public, they'd never get elected. Thank you. I'll be here all night.
That's what I'd say. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Brian? Any thoughts on this, on student loans? Did you ever have to take out a student loan when you were a kid?
No, but I mean, it sounds all nice, but then how do you be fair about it?
Right.
What do you mean?
If you say right now everything's forgiven, then what about people who've just paid stuff off the last year, last 2 years?
Yep.
Well, you know, I mean, it's because they weren't. Well, to begin with, they had a cheaper student loan than some of these other people because they got them a long time ago.
Like in the next few months.
Right.
It won't occur. It won't have anything to do with me.
Is she getting any student loans? I mean, is she getting any help with her tuition?
She's got offered a few scholarships, but you know, those are just to be taken if she goes to a certain school, and we haven't even decided that yet.
Right, right.
We've applied for a lot of stuff, but none of that's been decided yet. So I don't even know what I'm up against yet.
Yeah.
And I imagine I may have to take a loan or two out. Who knows?
Yeah.
But these loans are operated and guaranteed by the government, you know. So it's a government entity, for example. So you technically owe the government, right?
Right.
So if you go file your federal taxes this year, and when it's all said and done, they say you owe $1,200, right? Does Joe Biden then have the power to say, no, Josh Wheeler owes $600?
Yeah.
I mean, even though you all think that would be great, do you think that he has the power to say that?
By the way, Brian, are you saving up for your kids' education?
No, I told them they're got to get a scholarship or they're asked out.
That's it. You're out of here.
Do you think the cost? Do you think the cost of education is too high?
That's what.
And that in the past,
yeah.
And what are they spending it on?
Or get a new McLaren. I get it.
Hey,
no, but that's why Tiffany doesn't want to get married, because then the kids can file for financial help.
Okay. Well, that's a good thinking.
Everybody rich.
You know, I don't know where they're spending this money. They're spending it on administration. They're spending it on high salaries for football teams and things like that. Although a lot of football teams are self-sufficient, you know, it shouldn't cost what it's costing to go to school. And some of these kids that took loans didn't bother taking courses of study that would allow them to pay them back. They took things like radio and television, and now they're looking for a job and they can't pay the loan back, and they're having to work as a barista at Starbucks.
Yeah.
So
anyway, listen, we got it's
that
getting
was their decision.
It's getting time to go. In case anybody wonders, I still haven't heard from my doctor.
You know why? Because Biden's got cancer.
Yeah, Biden's got cancer. They got to take care of that now.
Yeah, he's getting all the country's attention.
Yeah.
None for
you.
Thank
you, Josh. I appreciate it. Always do. And thank you to Alan. You're wonderful. To Zoom Bomber, better known as Wayne. Got to thank you for being here tonight. By the way, nobody Zoom bombed us tonight. Nobody even tried.
Don't bring that up.
Yeah. Well, I need the numbers.
Phil did. Phil did. He showed up.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate it. And thank you, Phil. I hope you get better, you know.
Thanks. I'm sure I will, but I brought the virus with me.
Yes, well, I was coughing during the show. I think maybe I caught it from you.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Let's thank Tony, and let's thank Vernon. Always wonderful to have you here. And Brian, you're such a good pal, and you're always here, and we appreciate that too. Everybody, give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you, okay? And that's it for tonight, okay? There they go. In fact, that's it for this week, as a matter of fact. We're off until Monday when we do the big show on Facebook, which is a thing we call the pop-up show. And then we'll be back again next Wednesday. In the meantime, Jack Bishop is next with The Intersection. He'll be taking your calls on Skype at GabNet Live. I'll see you next Wednesday. Well, the next one of these shows, The Ramble, will be on next Wednesday at 10:30. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. Have a nice weekend, everybody.